Hi, my name is Anna. Thanks for being here today. Today's class is going to serve as sort of a morning wake up for you. So we are going to work on mobilizing some of the areas that maybe feel a little bit stiff or a little bit cranky in the morning. So hips, spine, shoulders, and we're really going to work on getting some good rotation and mobility here in the ribs and the middle back as well. So grab a hold of your block if you've got one handy, and let's come down onto our backs. So we're actually going to take the block on its lowest setting here, and we're going to place it right underneath your shoulder blades so that your shoulder blades are actually resting right on top of the block there. You have to kind of shimmy around, get it in a good spot, and then you can bring your hands behind your head, cupping your skull. I'm actually going to start with my elbows in, but starting off here, kind of just moving however feels good. So you can do a little bit almost of like an upper back crunch. That's kind of how I like to think about it. Just lifting up, lowering down. Can start to move a little bit side to side. And if it feels okay for you, you can even open the elbows out to the sides, lean back a little bit. It's getting a nice opening through your chest. And starting to connect a little bit more to your breath, breathing in and out through your nose. Let's take one more breath there. Nice. And then we'll lift up off the block, come down onto your back again. And now we'll take the block between your thighs, either the thinnest or kind of middle width here, placing the hands on your thighs, lengthening the back of the neck and lengthening the tailbone toward your knees. So the back of your neck reaches kind of up above your head, tailbone reaches toward the heels, and then we'll lift the hips up using the glutes here. So you can even give the glutes a little tap. And if your hands are on your thighs, just give a little bit of resistance downward with the hands so that you give the glutes something to push up into. And hugging the block lightly with the thighs. Breathing up and out into your ribs. And then pushing down into your big toe mounds. I'm just going to start to lift and lower the heels. So noting that the heels are lifting straight up and lowering straight down. So we aren't letting the ankles roll in or out. Gripping the floor with the toe mounds. Nice. And then bring your arms straight up toward the ceiling. Turn the palms up toward the ceiling. And we'll take the right hand to the left fingers and just start to draw back. And then switching hands, the left hand pulls the right fingers back. And you can stop pulsing with the heels. Still gripping in the glutes there. And then let your arms lower back down to the floor. We're going to slowly lower the spine, one vertebra at a time. Nice. So let's take the block off to the side there. Legs will reach straight up toward the ceiling. You can always bend the knees a little bit here if you need to. But interlace your hands behind your head, cup your skull here, and elbows will pull in toward your temples. Take an inhale breath. Exhale and lift up off your shoulder blades. So now look at your belly, zip your pubic bone like up toward your ribs, and then hug the sides of the waist in. Inhale, lower back down. Exhale, lift up off the shoulder blades. Now lean the head back into the hands a bit, but keep the chin drawn in toward your chest. Take your right arm and reach it up toward the right foot. And then reach that arm a little bit more from the shoulder blade as you consolidate and hug down in the belly. Hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up off the shoulder blades. Left arm reaches up toward the toes, the left toes, and then reach that arm longer from the shoulder blade. Hug the side ribs in, zip up the pubic bone. Left hand behind the head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. This time, reach the right arm up toward the right toes, left arm up toward the left toes. Reach like you're pulling the shoulder blades away from each other. Hug down in the belly. Hands behind your head. And inhale to lower. All right, adding on. Exhale, lift up. Hug the sides of the waist and zip up the pubic bone. Turn an inch to the right, keeping that consolidation. Reach the left arm outside of the right leg, and then reach more from the shoulder blade. You got it. Hand behind the head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Consolidate in the belly. Turn an inch to the left. Right arm reaches outside the left leg. Reach that arm a little bit longer. Hold those side ribs in. Hand behind the head. Inhale, lower. We've got one more, adding on one more element. Exhale, lift up. Turn an inch to the right. Reach the left arm outside of the right leg. Reach the right arm so the fingers are in line. And then reach the left fingertips a little bit longer so you can bring the fingertips together. Hands behind the head. Inhale, lower. Last one, we got this. Exhale, lift. Turn an inch to the left. Right arm reaches outside the left leg. Left arm reaches, and then reach more from the right fingertips. Bring the fingertips together. Hands behind the head, back through center, and release. Whew. Let's take the feet wide for a moment here. That'll wake you up. And we're gonna let the knees fall to the right. Still aiming to keep kind of your left footprint, like that whole left foot on the floor there. Feel a little bit of like bridge action in that left hip. So we're opening the front of the left thigh. And then switching sides. Knees go to the left. Keeping that right footprint on the floor. Feel almost like a bridge in the right glute, opening into the front of the right thigh. And let's do one more each side. Nice. And then we'll come around into a tabletop position. So hands and knees here. Shoulders are right over the wrist, hips are right over the knees. Spread the fingers nice and wide here. And now with the hands, imagine that you could almost screw them into the floor there. So it's as if you were gonna like dial the hands out without actually moving them. So you wanna feel like the shoulder blades kind of drag down and almost grip the back of your rib cage. So holding that position, shoulder blades down. Gonna lift the right knee up. Squeeze that right glute and just start to circle in the right hip. So noticing if you are just moving in the knee, and see if you can really think about moving from the hip joint at the top of the thigh, switching directions. Keeping the front of your throat lifted up. And then we'll set the right knee down. Left leg lifts up, hold the front of the throat up, left glute is squeezing there. And then we'll just start to circle in the hip. Noticing that we are not shifting and tipping in the pelvis, but rather we're just moving the thigh bone up in the socket. And switch directions. Beautiful. So left knee will lower. Go ahead and come down onto your forearms. We're going to take the right hand to the back of your skull. So this is a little open the book move. We'll take the right elbow toward the floor and then push into the left forearm as you turn in your rib cage and take it back down. Open it up here. It's going to be a small movement, but notice that you're trying to initiate it from kind of that middle back region. Let's do one more. And we'll take the right forearm down, left hand behind the head. So we'll start pointing that left elbow down and then push into the right forearm, turn in the ribs. Try to lift almost the front of your throat up into your hand there. You know, it's tough in this position. Last one. And then you can take the left forearm down and let's just sit back for a momentary child's pose here. You can always tuck the toes and stay up a little bit higher. Deep breath into your back. Coming forward through tabletop, spread the fingers nice and wide, tuck the toes, pike your hips, downward facing dog. So take a moment here, maybe pedal out your feet a little bit, shake out your head, and just relaxing the neck there. So you hold those front ribs in and send your hip creases high. Nice. And then we'll just start to walk your feet forward toward your hands. And then once you get up to the top of the mat, you can come up onto the fingertips or have your hands on blocks. Sit your hip creases back so that your spine is nice and long reaching forward. The chin is not coming forward. Take a big breath in. And exhale. Good. So we're going to keep that length in the spine, driving up through the hips to stand nice and tall. Okay, so I'm going to use a blanket here because we are going to be coming back into some low lunges, and it's just nice to have a little support for your knees sometimes. So we'll bring your arms forward and up. Inhale. As you exhale, hinge back in your hips. The knees will bend, but it's a reflection of what the hips are doing. Step the right foot back, lower the knee and come onto the top of the foot. So right hip is over the knee. Squeeze this right glute as you pull the front of the right thigh up. Bring your right hand behind your head and your left hand back to your sacrum. Feel like you can move the front of your throat and your chin back into your hand. Nice. And we're kind of drawing the pubic bone a little bit back toward the sacrum. Bring your hands down to the floor, tabletop. Now we're going to take the left leg, reach it straight back there, squeeze that left glute, and then kind of drag that left shoulder blade down like you're going to grip the back ribs with that shoulder blade. Right hand comes behind your head. Good. Harder than it looks. So once again, lift the front of the throat up. Hold the front ribs in. Amazing. Bring your hands down, or your right hand down. Lift up, downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up. Push into the hands as you step that right foot forward. Lower the left knee, come onto the top of the foot, and low lunge. Left hip is over the knee. Squeeze that left glute as you pull up on the front of the left thigh. Left hand behind the head, right hand to the sacrum. And pull back your whole face into that top hand and kind of draw the pubic bone back toward the bottom hand. Both hands come down, blocks or floor in front of you. Slide the back foot up to meet the front. So you're sending the hip creases back, the spine is nice and long. Drive up through the hips, rise to stand. Arms come forward and up, inhale. Exhale, sit back in the hips, lengthen the spine. Hands come down, left foot steps back, lower the knee but keep the toes tucked. And this time check in. The left glute is squeezing, the front of the thighs pulling up. And this time we'll just start to roll in the shoulders. Always feels so nice in the morning. And notice if you can think about moving the shoulder blades on your back. And you can even let the ribs turn a little bit. But we're keeping really a steady pelvis. Good. Bring your hands down, tabletop. Right foot steps back, and hug this right shoulder blade down and kind of grip the shoulder blade onto the back ribs. We're squeezing that back glute. Left hand comes behind the head. Lift the face up into it. Hold those front ribs together. Right, so it doesn't look crazy hard, but it's a lot of work because we're really working to keep everything consolidated and engaged. Left hand, right knee come back down to the floor. Downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up. Push down into the hands as you step that left foot as far forward as you can. You can lower down to the right knee. Lift on up, the back toes stay tucked here. Squeeze this right glute, pull up on the front of the thigh, and we'll add our shoulder rolls. Nice. Can let the ribs move a little bit. Awesome. And then we'll bring the hands down, blocks or floor in front of you, step the back foot up to meet the front. So send your hip creases back, spine stays nice and long. Rise to stand, driving forward with the hips at the top. Okay, adding on here, arms come forward and up. Send the hip creases back. Come onto your fingertips here, and we'll step the right foot back. So keeping the knee lifted, check in with that right glute, squeeze it, and then we'll start to rock forward and back on the right toes. Just working on a little bit of adaptability for that back foot, pushing into the toe mounds just like we did in our bridge at the beginning. Now hold it here, land the right hand on a block or the floor underneath your shoulder, and then hug the shoulder down away from the ear. Lean back into that shoulder blade as you open for a twist to the left. Hugging in with that right glute. Big breath into the left side. And we'll take the left hand down to the floor. Parallel your feet to the right. We're going to sit back for a side lunge. So send your right hip crease back. You want to avoid just letting your knee drive forward, but send the hip back and the knee will bend in response to that. And you can hold it there or move a little bit side to side. And you can always stay up a little bit higher and have the hands in your hip creases. Ooh, that was a nice little pop in my hip. One more here. Now we're going to turn it to face the back of the mat. Downward facing dog, right leg reaches up. Now bend the knee, just like we did before. Begin to circle in the hip. Holding the ribs up. Lifting your forearms away from the floor. And switch directions. Right leg reaches straight up again. Step the right foot forward and then open for a goddess to your left. So we're going to turn the feet and the hips open here, and you can really play around with what works. So if you need to have the feet a little bit more forward, you can always do what feels best. So I'm going to bring the hands behind your head. Now notice that I'm not arching my back and letting my ribs pop. Taking the front ribs together in front here. Hands behind the head. Inhale. Exhale, rotate a little bit to the right. So just like our abs, we're keeping this consolidation and rotating. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the left. Inhale center. Exhale right. Inhale. And exhale. One more each side, so feeling good. Exhale right. Inhale. And exhale. Come back through center. We're going to turn to face the front of the mat here. Lower the right knee and the right hand. So we're going to come into a modified side plank. So you can always kickstand this right leg if you need to. But we have the right hand directly under the shoulder, and we're hugging the shoulder blade down. So you can even put a hand on the shoulder blade, pull it down there, and then we're driving forward with this bottom right hip. You can take the left arm up there if you like, and maybe you try lifting the bottom foot. One more breath. And then we'll bring the left hand and the left knee down for tabletop. And let's do a couple rounds of a cat and cow. So turning the tailbone up slightly, softening the belly a little bit, the mid-back, upper back, the space between the shoulder blades, lift the gaze a bit, and reversing that. Tailbone down, lift up in the belly, the middle back, the upper back, maybe drop the gaze a bit. One more time. And then come into a bit of your cow pose. So almost like you're drawing the chest a little bit toward the floor. Now drag your shoulder blades down your back and feel like your shoulder blades are sitting right on top of those back ribs. So there's like that really solid connection there. Now, hugging the ribs together a bit, drawing the belly up. We're gonna hold that, the throat is staying lifted, already a lot of work. Here we go. Step the right foot back, and then step the left foot back. Maintaining that connection of the scapula, of the shoulder blades on your back ribs. Beautiful. And then lower the knees back down and lift up into downward facing dog. Okay. Take an inhale breath. And exhale, let it go. Slowly start to walk your feet forward toward your hands, and we'll rise all the way up to stand. All right, second side, arms come forward and up, inhale. As you exhale, hinge at the hips, long spine. Fingertips come down to the floor. This time we'll step the left foot back. Keeping the knee lifted, squeeze that left glute, and we'll just start to rock forward and back on the left toes. And then holding it there, left hand comes right underneath the shoulder. Hug that left shoulder blade down away from the ear as you rotate open to the right. So feel like you can almost lean back into that left shoulder blade a little bit and let your head relax. And then we'll bring the right hand down, parallel your feet to the left, side lunge here. So sit back into the left hip crease and maybe stay there, or maybe take it over to the right, over to the left. Remember, always the option, you can be up higher and really have the fingers in the hips so that we make sure that is where we're initiating the movement from. All right, here we go. We're going to turn to face the back of the mat. Downward facing dog, left leg reaches up. Bend the knee, and then just from the hip joint, begin to circle. Holding the forearms, holding the ribs up, switching directions. Left leg reaches up, stepping that foot forward, open to the right for a goddess. Okay, so once again, play around with the direction that your feet are facing. Hands interlace behind your head. Draw your face, draw your throat back as you hold the ribs in. Inhale, breath. Exhale, rotate left. It's just a small movement. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Let's do one more each side. Nice. And then we'll turn to face the front. Left knee and left hand lower. So get that left hand directly under the shoulder. Right leg reaches back. Now hug this left shoulder blade away from the ear. Kind of like pack it in. You can always kickstand that bottom leg. And maybe you lift the right leg. Awesome. Now take that left bottom glute, drive it forward. Nice. This is a hard one for the morning, I know. One more breath here. It's a hard one really for any time of day. And then we'll bring the right hand and the right knee down for tabletop. Let's move through a couple rounds of a cat and cow here just on your own. Now in your tabletop, find a little bit more of that cow back. So shoulder blades down and kind of soften your chest toward the floor a little bit. And feel that strong connection between the shoulder blades and the back ribs, like they're just flush with one another. Keep that feeling hugging up in the belly a little bit. And we'll step the left foot back. The right foot back. Here we are. We're looking great. Take the front of the throat, lift it up. Your chin isn't jutting forward. And then we'll take that back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. Big breath in. Exhale it out. And then nice and easy, taking a little stroll up to the top of your mat there. And we'll rise to stand. All right, so let's bring the hands on the hip creases here. We're gonna do a little move called triple flexion. So we're taking the hip creases back. We're gonna slide the hands down to your ankles. So we're flexing at the hip, the knee, and the ankle here. Spine is staying long. And then rise to stand, drive the glutes forward. Let's do that again. Slide down, rise up. Now if you want to get a little fancy with it, you can rise up and lift the heels. Rise up, maybe lift the heels. Let's do 2 more. Awesome. Now this next time you lower down, plant the hands and then step back for plank. So throat is lifted up. Feel that connection of the shoulder blades on the back ribs. Tap your knees down. Hands are spread nice and wide. Squeeze the glutes. Bend the elbows just a little tiny bit. Hold that consolidation. Straighten your arms. Bend the elbows just a little bit. Shoulder blades down your back. Straighten your arms. Last one. Tiny little bend. It's almost harder than lowering all the way. Straighten your arms. Lift up, downward facing dog. Breath in. Breath out. And then we'll walk the feet forward to the hands there. Hips are back, spine is long. Rise to stand. Let's do 1 more round. So sliding down, hips back, throat is lifted. Rise to stand, maybe lift the heels. Keep going there. Last one. And this next time that you're down, can bring your hands down, blocks or floor. Step your left foot back, your right foot back for plank. Squeeze your glutes, throat is lifted. Tap your knees, bend the elbows just a little tiny bit, keeping the fronts of the shoulders lifted. Straighten your arms. Bend the elbows, fronts of the shoulders lifted, glutes are on. This time lower all the way to the floor. Ooh. Let's take the arms behind you here. Can rest your forehead on the floor. Now lengthen your tailbone back, so push into your pubic bone, push it into the floor, and then we'll lift up here, drawing the shoulder blades together and preventing the neck and the chin from jutting forward. So chin is in, lift the front of your throat. Making your glutes work here. Lower back down, hands come underneath the shoulders. You can tuck the toes. Let's keep the knees down. Shoulder blades down, and then lift back up, plank on the knees, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Good. 1 more time, inhale. And exhale. All right, moving into our final sequence here. Right leg will reach up and back. We're going to step that right foot forward, coming into a crescent lunge. Ooh, it's getting warm. So in your crescent lunge, you can soften that back knee a little bit and feel like you can lengthen the tailbone straight down toward the floor. Squeezing that left glute. You got it. And then have your hands on the outer hips for a moment. Hug them inward. Drive down, especially into that right front big toe mound. Now we're going to push down into that right foot. Kick the left leg. Step it back. Crescent lunge. If you want to add on a little punch here, left leg comes forward, right arm can come forward. Couple more. Noticing that work in the standing leg, that right glute when the left leg kicks forward. Awesome. Now, we're going to turn to face the back of the mat for a supported warrior 3. So coming onto the back toes, right hand lands on the left thigh, left hand is on the hip. We're going to hinge back into that left hip crease to lift the right leg. So use the right hand on the left thigh to give you a little bit of upward lift. Lifting the throat. Doing amazing. Last moment here. Push down into that left foot. Rise to stand. Woo. Check in here, left glute. Make it work. Give it a squeeze. So we're going to take the left hand to the right thigh. Checking in with your posture, taking your throat back. If you like, you can add on a little twist here, turning in the ribs a little bit to the right. And then we'll step the right foot back, open up, warrior two. Give that leg a little break. Take an inhale. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Let the right ear soften toward the right shoulder. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle, left forearm to left thigh, right arm can reach up and over. Let that left ear soften toward the shoulder. Warrior two, inhale. Exhale, reach up and back, lifting into that top rib cage. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle. Now lifting into the right top rib cage. Now hold it here. Push that left forearm away from you into the thigh. Reach the right arm straight up toward the ceiling. So we're going to take the right arm, thread it underneath, almost like you're going to tap your left rib cage, and then open it back up. Thread it under and feel how you're once again almost isolating some movement in the rib cage. Let it feel nice. And then from there, windmill your hands down to the floor, downward facing dog. Here we go, last side, left leg reaches up and back. Push into the hands, step that foot forward. Rise up, crescent lunge. So we're gonna soften the back knee a little bit. Get this right glute on. You can lengthen the tailbone down. Nice. So looking down at your left toes, push down into that big toe mound. Gonna rise to stand, kick the right leg forward and back. Kick forward and back. So once again, noticing as you rise to stand, how that left glute has to work like crazy. It's always helpful to even put your hand on your body. Notice that left glute squeezing when you stand. If you want to add a little punch, left arm comes forward. Make it fun. Keep going there. You've got a couple more. Now this next time you're in crescent lunge, hold it there. We're going to turn to face the front of the mat, rising up on the back toes, left hand on the right thigh, hinge back into the right hip crease, supported warrior three. So gazing right underneath the nose, squeezing this right hip. Using that left hand on the thigh as a little buttress to give you that upward lift. You got this. Now grip the floor with that right big toe mound. Rise up to stand. Left knee comes in. Check in with this right glute. Check in with your posture. Moving your face back. Right hand on the left thigh. Whoop. If you like, you can add a little turn to the left. Awesome. We'll step that left foot back, warrior two. Arms come forward and back if you want to kind of straighten and bend that right knee a little bit. Always encouraged. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Left hand to the left thigh, lifting into this right side rib cage. Warrior 2, inhale. Exhale, side angle. Right forearm to the thigh, left arm overhead. Let the head relax. Lift into the left ribs. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, reverse. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, side angle. Hold it here. Push the right forearm away from you into the thigh. Left arm reaches straight up toward the ceiling. Now we're going to take the left arm, thread it underneath the ribs to almost tap the right side of the rib cage. Open it back up. Thread it under. Reach it up. Keep going. Just moving that whole kind of middle region of your spine. Hold it here. Windmill the hands down, downward facing dog. And then from here, just go ahead and lower down to your knees and come around onto your back. So I'm gonna use a little support for my head. So I've just folded up a blanket here. You can use a blanket or a pillow, even a block. But we're gonna come down onto your back. Grab your block if you've got it. We're gonna take it on its highest setting. Bring the left knee on top of the block. And then take the right arm out to the right, plant the left hand on top of it. So from here, just gonna kind of scrape that left hand across your body. Open it to the left for a twist. You're welcome to stay right here, or just maybe do a couple more of those. Just gonna hold this last one. And then as you're ready, rolling onto your back and taking it to the other side. Block on the highest setting, right knee comes on top. You can stack the hands on top of each other, scraping that right arm across, opening for a little twist. Just holding this last one. And as you're ready, just coming around onto your back. Set yourself up for a brief Shavasana here, so you can have the knees bent or the legs straight. Just finding a place that feels easy and comfortable. Taking these few moments just as a time for you to be held, to be supported, to be connected to your breath, to your body, before you go out into the rest of the day. Slowly begin to draw your attention back to your breath. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, just roll over to your side and make your way up to a comfortable seat. And together, let's take one more breath, breathing in and breathing out. Wonderful, wonderful job today. I hope you are feeling a little more awake, a little more alive. As always, I really appreciate it if you like this class, subscribe so you're not missing classes that I post, and sharing with anyone who you think might enjoy these classes as well. Thank you so much for sharing your morning with me. I'll see you again.